Man, the 2025 NFL running back draft class is stacked to say the least. And I am so excited to break the entire positional group down, give you guys my rankings and my thoughts on the top guys. And how is it going to affect the draft? I think it's going to be really interesting to see, because how deep it is, does it affect where these guys go? And is there going to be some crazy good value later on in the draft? I believe so. So if y'all love NFL draft content, if you guys love Denver sports, hit that subscribe button, like the video. It'll really help me out for the YouTube algorithms. That little thumbs up, give it a little smashy. I appreciate you guys. So, let's talk about the running backs. This is a really, really great class. If you are a running back needy team like my Denver Broncos and like many other teams in the NFL, always looking for young guys to replace the aging vets. And the way that I structure my rankings when I'm looking at all these different prospects is strictly for what I feel like is going to translate well in the NFL. It doesn't necessarily mean that I think that, these guys are more talented than other backs or anything like that. I just feel like right off of the gate, day one, these are the guys that you have the best chance of being able to have impact right away for the team because they're very well-rounded. And we'll definitely get into them, but it's very difficult I noticed after looking at, a lot of the film and diving into these guys, it's really difficult to be able to, really be able to project what kind of a pro a lot of these players are, right? And I'll give you an example. Caleb Johnson is not going to be my top 5. But it's also because when you watch the film, there's so many moments where his offensive line is so dominant, he doesn't really have to do that much to look great. He's got a lot more, it's just unrealistic, right? He's got a lot more room. It doesn't get contact until a few yards down the field. It's not a realistic sample size to be able to compare with where he is, with what's going to happen in the pros, right? Especially depending on what team he goes to. So it doesn't mean that he's going to be a bad pro. I just feel like I haven't seen enough from him to be like, all right, I'm going to put him in my top. So again, I want to preface by saying these are just guys that I feel like are going to be able to have instant impacts and have really, really good careers overall. Not necessarily, a developmental. And also, just like with everything in the draft, where they're drafted, the team they go to is going to be key. Very, very much key. But without further ado, guys, let's get into it. Number one, ain't no doubt about it. We all knew Ashton Jeanty, man. And let me tell y'all, I thought maybe this guy was just a lot of hype. I knew he was good, but I was like, how good is he? I've never seen a college running back with this much talent, explosiveness, contact balance, like you see with somebody like Ashton Jeanty. The guy is an absolute bowling ball of a player. He loves contact. Defenders bounce right off of him. He is impossible, it seems like, to bring down. And he's relentless. He does not stop. His feet do not stop going. There's been so many situations where there was nothing available at the O-line, and before you know it, he's breaking it for 10 yards. It is impeccable. He's got elite vision, absolutely elite contact balance. His lateral agility is amazing. The only thing you could say he's lacking is he doesn't have like the top end speed, the track speed to take it to the crib, but I can assure you he's going to have his fair share of long runs to the house. And to top it all off, I watched NFL draft, the draft guys with, the PFF guys, Trevor Sikkema and the crew. And they talked about, they had an interview with him and they said, as good of a player as he is and as good of a prospect, a generational type of prospect, he's an even better human being. He's somebody that loves football, is phenomenal. His work ethic is out of this world. Obviously, these are things that you hear. So to top all of his talent off that you see on film, Ashton Jeanty, man, he's going to be special. And in a draft class where I feel like maybe he can slide because there's so much talent behind him, I don't know, man. When you put the film on and you listen to the kind of player that he is, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he was a top 5 pick, and it would be warranted. He is absolutely fantastic. So not much more needs to be said. All right. Numero 2. If you guys have been following the channel, you already know how I feel about this guy. This is my dude. I love everything that there is to love about TreVeyon Henderson. The guy in my opinion is just incredibly special. He really is. His game translates so seamlessly to the NFL. He can do everything. He's got amazing contact balance. His ability to catch the ball out of the backfield is borderline elite. And they say that he is the best pass blocking prospect to come out of the NFL and over the last decade. He's ridiculously fast. And when I say he's explosive. He is the most explosive running back in this draft class in a sense of acceleration to getting the top speed. I mean, 2 to 3 steps and he is at top speed. He hits the hole. His lateral quickness is also the best in this draft as well. He is shifty. He's got almost Darren Sproles shiftiness, but he's much bigger, much more well-built. People are going to look at it and say he's 5'10", 208, or he might even measure in at 202. He is every bit the part. If you're going to ask me, I think he's going to be more 5'9", 205, 208. Shorter guy, extremely stocky, big in a lower body. He's got great power. Team leader, 5-star recruit coming out. He had some injuries that he battled through in college, but this upcoming year, when he was used in a committee approach and then he started to kind of be featured a little bit more than Quinshon Judkins, he really, really shined. And what happens in the NFL with teams? Teams typically like to have a running back by committee. It's rare that you have just a workhorse back. Do I think TreVeyon can do it? Yes. Just like I look at somebody like Jahmyr Gibbs, right? Jahmyr Gibbs has proven that, without David Montgomery, he can be a stud player. But in a committee, he's absolutely elite. And he makes the most out of his touches. He's extremely efficient. TreVeyon Henderson is very much like that. He's explosive. He's so good. He would complement any running back unbelievably well. And if he had to step into that role, he would do it. But the fact that he can catch the ball really well out of the backfield and the fact that he's really good at pass protection already, he's going to come in and he's going to play and contribute to an NFL team right away. And I think he's going to end up probably being the best bargain of anybody in this draft in terms of the value and where they get him at. So check out TreVeyon Henderson, man. He is special. And from everything you hear, right, the character, the leadership, what coaches talk about, what players talk about, that's a huge plus as well. Now, are we ever going to know as normal people? No, right? You're never going to know. You don't know what these players really are like. You don't know what happens when they get into the NFL and there's the fame and the money and the pressure could get to them. You don't know. So we're just going based off what we know, but ain't no doubt about it. TreVeyon Henderson is something special for me. All right. Number 3 is Omarion Hampton. And this guy is really fun to watch. I liked him and I ranked him at number 3 because I don't think he does anything necessarily elite, but he's extremely well-rounded. He's a solidly big built back, 6'2", 220. He's every bit of that size. He's physical runner. He's shown that he has the ability to be a good receiver out of the backfield. And he wasn't asked to pass block too much, but it seems like the traits and the willingness to pass block are there. But he's got really good vision, and he's very tough to bring down. He's a little bit of an upright runner, but he doesn't look like he's going to go down quickly and easily. And so I just think that his relentlessness, he's always looking for contact. He makes people miss pretty well for a guy his size. But he's elusive, man. He's really fun to watch. I just liked how well-rounded he was, like I said. And there was a lot of situations, especially playing, in North Carolina. The offensive line necessarily wasn't all that elite. There was a lot of, muddy holes and not a lot there. And he consistently made a lot out of nothing. Just by being able to cut it back or, get skinny into the hole or just put his foot in the ground and take what he can get. And I think that translates really well in the NFL because it's going to be a small room for error. So if you can make the most out of your opportunities and what it is that you get, and you've got the natural instincts and the lateral agility to be able to do so, you can be really successful. So I think Omarion Hampton is going to be a really good player. I love his size speed combo. Like I said, doesn't really do anything elite, but he's super solid all around. No doubt about it. So really, really love me some Omarion Hampton. And the next one might surprise y'all now, but it ain't going to surprise you guys for much longer because this guy still hasn't gotten all the love I think he deserves. But my God, does he ever. And that is my boy, LeQuint Allen, someone I was on, a couple of months ago. And I really got onto him because I'm not going to lie to you. I went on Google and I said, NCAA leading receivers at running back. And I checked it out and he was one of the dudes at the top of the list. And I was like, cool, let me look into this guy because I love backs that are very well-rounded and can catch. I was pleasantly surprised by this guy's game. He is so good at running the football. He's 6'2", 202. He looks a little bit skinny, but man, he runs with anger. He's powerful. He's got phenomenal vision. And when I say he's an amazing pass catcher, you can tell that this guy used to be a wide receiver that became running back. It is effortless. Every single thing that he does is effortless. In fact, he almost borderline looks more comfortable running routes than he does running the football. And I know that sounds a little bit crazy, but he's that good. He's that buttery smooth. And I just feel like NFL teams are going to love that skill set because you can teach a lot of these running backs specific running back traits, right? Of, where to start your, kind of like where to start the line. Where's the cutback lane going to be at once you start to get used to your offensive line, things like that. But there's certain things you just can't teach guys. You're not going to expect a running back that's never really caught the ball and received the ball to be all of a sudden a really good receiver, right? But this guy has got the ability to genuinely beat you in the pass game in a lot of different ways. You can line him up in the slot. You can line him up out wide, and he's actually going to be a threat. You see that a lot in the NFL. You have these running backs out wide, but they don't really do anything. They just are there to kind of occupy one person on the field. You can run a ton of different, wheel route concepts and a bunch of different pass concepts out of the backfield for him. And he's good. He's shown that he's pretty good in pass pro. He's got a lot. He's got room for growth for sure, but he's shown that he's got the ability and the frame to be able to hold up pretty well in pass protection as well. But super good vision, much more physical runner than you would think. His lateral agility is probably what is the elite trait for him. His ability to cut and go just left to right is awesome. He jukes guys out of their boots a lot. Really solid overall player, right? I get it. The 228 attempts, the 1,021 rush yards. It's not the most unbelievable stats for a guy in college, right? But you have to remember too, this guy was kind of in a committee approach. I mean, he borderline split carries. He's only 20 years old. He's a true junior. But he had 64 catches on top of that, 521 yards and 4 touchdowns. And throughout his entire college career, he has not fumbled, let alone lost a fumble, not one. So just really solid. And I think that teams are going to fall in love with not just the really natural skill set that he has, but he's going to be like a ball of clay. There's going to be so much growth with him too. Teams are going to love that. So I think he's going to go a lot earlier in the draft than people think. I think he's absolutely a day 2 guy. And I think he can go before a lot of these guys because depending on the team and the scouting and the needs of teams, they're going to fall in love with someone like LeQuint because he can play right away if you need him to, but he also projects as someone that's going to get better and better. So I'm a huge fan of his game. And then number 5 was tough for me, guys, because there's a lot of good backs in this draft, man. But I kept thinking to myself, all right, who do I feel like can just kind of step in day one and be a really impact player for teams? And, I went through the Dylan Sampson tape. I looked at Quinshon Judkins. I looked at Dylan Sampson. I looked at Cam Scatterbo. I looked at a lot of these guys. And one guy I kept watching back, he just kind of kept popping off to me. It was Devin Neal from Kansas. Super good back, man. Super, super good back. And I just realized that I definitely did not update his measurables. So let me get that for you guys. My apologies about that. Things happen. I did not update it on this one in particular. But Devin Neal is 5'11", 220 pounds. He packs a punch. He's a very big running back. He runs extremely physical. But man, oh man, is he a good pass catcher as well. Like, it really pops out on tape. He's definitely one of the better pass catching backs in this draft as well. I love the leadership traits that you see with him. He's got ridiculous vision and just good speed and power. His contact balance is fantastic. His lateral agility is really good. But I like what this guy brings. He brings a tenacity to the game. His teammates love him. You can tell he just loves football in general too. He really, really does. He's someone that, I don't really even believe he was very highly recruited coming into college. And he just earned every single thing that he did when he was in Kansas. He was really the heartbeat of that team. And what I love about him too, man, is whether his team was up by a lot or they were just getting killed, he's running his ass off. He's pumping up his teammates. The dude loves football. That's something that really stood out to me as well. But super talented player. Really, really just solidly well-rounded. But like I said, I think because he's got a good amount of experience, he's got the frame to be good in pass protection, and he can beat you for sure in the pass game, not just from basic screens, but he could really stretch the field a little bit with him in the pass game. Teams are going to love him. He can come in, he can contribute right away on a lot of NFL teams and rosters. So really love Devin Neal. And like I said, I just think with him, another situation where in Kansas, they didn't always have a dominant offensive line. There wasn't always games where things were pretty, things were open, but he would create a lot of opportunities with not much there. And those are some things that I like, right? You even see with Dylan Sampson. Dylan Sampson, I didn't see him as too much of a creator. I felt like all the big runs that he had, and he was very reliant on those big runs, were just because the holes opened up. Caleb Johnson, you see that a lot, right? Doesn't mean these guys can't be great. They're very talented. But you watch Caleb Johnson, and you're just like, dude, the hole is unbelievable. There's so much room. It's not realistic as to what it's going to be like when he's in the NFL. And then with Cam Scatterbo, he was impressive. He was really, really impressive and fun to watch. I just don't think he's got the talent to be able to be good enough in the NFL. You can only make it so far with sheer will and want to. There's got to be a point. And as a running back, and it's a little bit different in like with receivers and tight ends and maybe tackle, because you can have really good technique and just want to win, and then you might not have the best traits, but you can still be really, really effective. Cam Scatterbo, I don't know. I guess we're gonna have to see with him. So I was a little bit down on him from that sense because he can do a lot of fun things, right? He's a really good pass catcher. He's pretty elusive, for his size, but he's not really quick and fast enough, I think, to be able to consistently win in the NFL. And so that's just kind of what I feel like with Cam Scatterbo. But he was definitely on the borderline to be able to make it in my top 5. So, well, that's that, guys. I want to know what y'all think. I know this might be a little bit of a wild. Oh, let me see something. Sorry, it might be a little bit of a ranking system that you don't necessarily agree with, and that's totally fine. I'd love to know what you guys' thoughts are in the comment. Give me your top 5. I'm going to do more film breakdowns. I'm going to do film breakdowns on the rest of the guys here that I haven't done it on yet. And I got some really fun ones. Kyle Manun guy, I'm still putting some stuff together. One of my favorites. He might sneak into my top 5 potentially as well. Certainly in my top 10. And let me know. Got some more content revolving around the tight ends, the receivers, the tackles, the defensive linemen, the linebackers in this draft class. That's what we're focusing on to start. So let me know below, guys. Until then, y'all enjoy yourselves, man. Take care and peace out.